Warning. This podcast is about to open the sealed section of spirituality.
Hey you, yeah you, we see you, you divine human being.
And we are calling you to come home.
We are ready to talk about the real shit. We're going to get real about life as a divine human being.
The good, the not so great, spirituality and taboo. Divinely Human is the podcast that's all about what it means to be human in a spiritual context.
We know it's not just about being spiritual, it's about being human too.
And that means changing poopy nappies and channeling angels.
Sometimes even at the same time. It's time for us to stop making other people's noise our own soundtrack of life.
Let's make some waves together so that we can all ride them together and create deep resonance, a sense of home in this crazy world.
Pour yourself a coffee
Or a glass of wine if that's your potion.
and sit down with your new favorite spiritual sisters
As we go on a journey together into what it means to
a
be
divine human being.
on this spiritual journey.
Hi, and welcome to another week of the Divinely Human podcast. I am Tanita,
And I'm Aleisha.
and we are bringing you this episode with a lot of messiness. I'm feeling like we generally haven't even spoken for what feels like a long time. I don't think we talked once over the weekend. So we're going to start with a catch up because honestly, life is insane right now. And the fact that we haven't even spoken for a whole couple of days, I'm like, what is going on with your life? Who are you again? Please catch me up.
And not only that, but we've also had a little break from the podcast for the last 2 weeks. So
Yeah,
we're
hi,
both
guys.
feeling, yeah, hi. We're both feeling extra, lonely and not lonely. Like maybe we're really. I feel lonely.
I feel lonely.
Look, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I feel lonely not doing this and having this chat, and it's we haven't spoken for days properly anyway.
Yeah.
So how are you going?
Look, I'll be honest, not that great. I don't know what is going on, but I am more anxious than I've ever been. I feel like I'm really struggling to manage everything. And the fact that we haven't even spoken, like that's major because usually we check in all the time. And that's how I'm feeling across the board with literally everything. I feel like I'm running on a treadmill and like can't catch my breath recently. And it's crazy because what's different about this kind of period that I'm in is I'm finding it really hard to have hindsight, you know? Usually when I'm in it, I'm like, okay, I've dealt with mental health issues before, but I can understand that there's going to be an end period, or like I understand and I'm fully aware of the fact that it's all meant to be for a reason. But something about this lately is just completely rocked my boat. And I don't know, like the fact is, I just don't know. I can't give an answer to why that is. And that's a really weird place to be in, you know?
I'm so sorry to hear that. So it's not a fun time, and it's really sometimes like we feel like we should have all the answers all the time, you know, and it's such a surrender moment to kind of accept. It's not even a knowing, it's just like an acceptance of like sometimes you don't have hindsight when it comes to these situations. And it's like, it's so crazy that you say this because the whole reason why we probably haven't spoken as well is because my mental health has just been really, really bad the last week. Just out of nowhere as well. It's kind of like snuck up on me, and I'm feeling really similar to you. And I'm like, at the same time, I'm not surprised because we both kind of like interchangeably feel, you know, these energies that are coming through. I'm not going to lie though, I did feel a little sense of relief that I'm not alone in this because
I'm feeling that right now as you said that.
I honestly I've had a really rough week to the point where I think I spent the whole weekend crying. I was just like crying at everything, you know.
Oh my
I was like,
God,
oh,
this
here
is
she
like
goes again. Like,
blowing my mind. So I'm so sorry.
it's crazy. And, you know that you're having a hard time or you're going through a bit of a hard time when you say to yourself, okay, maybe it's time to book in with a psychologist, because I was there on the weekend.
Stop it. I literally had that conversation last night. It's honestly scary how much that's like, how much we haven't even talked, and then that's happening for both of us. Imagine everybody else who's feeling like this.
Yeah, like just, I don't know, but I'm feeling like on a collective level, everyone's feeling a little bit more intense, but just the last probably 7 to 8 days, my anxiety has gone through the roof to the point where it's actually kicked off a really like intense, what it feels like is like OCD. Like just obsessive compulsive over the most random shit.
Yeah.
And like just from past experience, speaking to psychologists and knowing how the brain works and how the anxiety mind works, if you don't deal with your anxiety, it can lead to like the OCD coming in. So I'm feeling it right now. I'm like, I feel like a psychopath, but at the same time, I think that it's a kind of a testament to the work. And this is a self-reflection, I guess, to the work that I've done over the last few years with mental health, because I don't feel ashamed to feel this way for the first time in my life. And in a sense, I was sitting down and I was having a conversation with somebody else about feeling like you're in a hole or in a void area, feeling overwhelmed and going into the void. And I actually had spirit come through when I was mid conversation about this on the weekend. And they were speaking about how the void is like not a negative place. It's just a place of nothingness and a place of everythingness. And if you reframe nothing and everything and put it together, it's oneness. So to melt into that space without the feeling of guilt, without the feeling of I need to get the fuck out of here, without the feeling of, oh, I'm, mustn't be doing great if I'm in this space, like to just remove that and just melt into it and just be and let yourself sit in that limbo. I feel like it's going to light the path ahead in a way if we just let it happen. But it's really interesting, the fact that your anxiety's also been like, what's going on?
I really love that. I love that like integration too. Thanks for sharing that, because it's true. I think that's what I am feeling, is this like, I know that both of us right now, we're at a really pivotal point in our businesses where we are deepening our mission, we are diving all in. And to do that, it requires you to completely let go of yourself and become this just conduit of the collective, but it also requires you to completely activate all of the strengths you have as an individual and somehow intertwine the two. And when you said that, that's really what kind of clicked for me. It's like we're creating these businesses, these separate businesses that ultimately just devote itself to the collective and want to be here to serve in a oneness kind of mindset, but we're also leading these businesses, and that requires so much personal strength and fortitude. So it's really interesting you say that, because yeah, that's what came through for me. And we are real human beings with lives and children and relationships, and we want to experience all of life, but at the same time, we want to devote ourselves to this greater mission. And I think it's just trying to find that balance between it all, right? Like, how do you be an individual and also somebody who serves the collective. Like that's something I think I'm always going to be trying to figure out.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I feel like you just spoke from my heart. Just you were playing my heartstrings just then because that's honestly how I feel. And I had this conversation with my sister over the weekend, and that's where I felt, well, that's where I feel right now, like I'm struggling the most is to find that limbo between being, and I love how you phrase that, like being a conduit for the collective. That's a really great way to put it. So the limbo between being a conduit for the collective, but then also just living your life and doing the human things and integrating that beautiful human experience and being a mom, being a partner, being a sister. I'm struggling at the moment with that because I feel like the responsibility of being that conduit and I feel like I'm on call to a community 24/7. And I say this with love. I really do say this with love. But I feel like a lot of the time when you are in that position, a lot of your community sometimes forgets that you're a human being and you're not always there to be the space holder, So I've really struggled it's been building up like a slow build, but the last week especially, just dealing with just a lot of energy that doesn't belong to me that has been made my responsibility. But boundaries is a big thing I'll be working on going forward because I just want to be there in my what's the right word, like individual life as well. Last week I was so overwhelmed, and I'm going to be raw and honest, but I was so caught up in stressing and feeling the pressure of showing up and being that conduit and replying to people, being there for people in this online space, especially. I literally forgot my best friend's birthday on Wednesday. She didn't hear from me. And I felt so bad. I'm literally tearing up now about it, but I felt so bad. I'm going to cry. Well, raw episode, guys. But I felt so bad. And I really it really shook me because I was like, it's gotten to the point where I feel like I'm not like doing those other things that are important to me. And then all of the people that I love are kind of missing out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know that this has all come up. Full moon today, guys, as well. I know you guys will be listening to this in the future, but right now it's a full moon.
And we are feeling it.
But yeah, it's just been a big balancing act lately.
I wish we were recording in person. I want to give you a big hug because I feel you. I really do. And I think this is such a struggle that not only you go through, but everybody who owns a business and wants to devote themselves as, a conduit for the collective. It's something that's really hard to manage. And, that you sharing that about, you forgetting somebody really important to you, so a big event like that hits home because I did something very similar, right? Like family stuff came up and I don't know, like we only have a limited capacity. And I think it's so hard and we're so hard on ourselves, especially while we're juggling these two big things. But you know what? Like, I would rather try and figure this out and be kinder to myself because I know that no matter what, I do have pure intentions. And I feel that from you too. It's not like you were trying to forget or you were out, doing drugs or alcohol and like forgot your friend's birthday. Like you were literally being a server for the collective. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, our human mind is limited sometimes. And it's really hard. It really is. So I feel you. And I just pray that by talking about it, we can release some of the internal struggle, because I don't know about you, but I've felt this and I felt like I have to deal with it all alone. Like, I wasn't even able to talk to my fiance about it all. And he's like, "What are you doing? Like, you don't have to do this alone." And just talking to you about it has given me so much relief, because I'm like, well, if we're experiencing then there must be a solution. There must be an easier way to figure it all out, you know? And I hope that's possible for us.
Yeah, it's that balancing act. And it's so funny because a lot of people tend to, and like obviously, you know, we do it to other people probably as well. You just kind of assume that everyone has their shit together and it's all organized and, you know, holding space isn't a drama. But even as a space holder and somebody who holds space for a living, there's a continuous challenge of balancing that and knowing when it's time to step back and not taking the responsibility on. And I would love to begin to release the guilt that some of us feel around that, like declining the space holding. We don't always have to be an open conduit to hold that space 24/7. And oh my goodness, like honestly, I'm a people pleaser. I don't like to like make a decision whether to be yes or no, or to be there or not be there. I've got a Libra, a Libra. My midhaven is Libra, so I'm like, it's all about like
peace.
I'm not gonna,
yeah,
like I'm here, but I'm not here.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to make that decision. So I tend to be a people pleaser. I sit in the middle of everything and not want to go one way or the other. So big lesson for me, I think, as well with this everything bubbling up now is to be a bit more assertive with my space and my time, and restriction as well, like with the time that I dedicate to my space, because it's a lot. And I mean, it only feels like it's getting more and more to hold as well. And I know you know how I feel because you're going through it too with your community and it growing, and it just like it's like blossoming. You're saying it feels good. It feels so good and exciting. But at the same time, you need to be able to clock off and turn up for those people who you love and are part of your family and, you know, close-knit network there. So it's definitely been an interesting week, let me tell you. So much wanting to come through and be integrated into like this new set of I keep thinking about like how like a computer has like a firewall system.
Yeah. Literally.
Literally, that's what my body and my soul are wanting to do and like set up for me at the moment, so that I don't feel attacked. Not that I feel like people are attacking me, but energetically I feel a little bit bombarded at the moment. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally feel that. I'm like, one wrong look can just send me over the edge. I'm like, feel like really, yeah, like that. I need to strengthen my firewall system. I really like that.
That just came.
I love it. Honestly, that's exactly how I feel. I'm like so ready to, I don't know. And I think it's really hard because like you said, the community is growing. It's so beautiful, but there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And it's also about, for me, like making sure that all of my back end systems are like up and running and everything flows as smooth as it possibly can. Because, hi, one man band over here, like I am at every single touch point of the business. And that is a freaking lot, you know? And then not only that, needing to show up for a corporate job with a very different energy. And I'm actually quite struggling to shift my energy, like my state of mind as well. I find that when I'm in work mode, I'm in work mode, and it's really hard for me to drop out. And then, having kids, you have to be able to switch gears within seconds because you need to turn into mama bear mode or you need to turn back into work mode. And it's just, it's bloody hard. Like it just is. But I think the more we talk about it, the more answers are going to come to us and the more we're going to find solutions and not be stuck in ways. Because that's the other thing is like when your business is growing, you need to be ready for change, and stubbornness is something that I struggle with. I want things to be familiar and comfortable, and I know the route, I know what works, but when things change in your business and it grows, you need to be flexible. And that's something that's really tough as well, you know?
That Pisces energy. I've got two Piscean sisters and they're quite similar. You know, you have your way. You have your way. And if something or someone or like something shifts, it's like, no, I'm doing it my way, even if it doesn't work for that or that. It's like I want to hang on to my way, and I see them move through challenges and I see the struggle. So I just want to say, I see you. It's really, really hard. And I kind of, I kind of resonate as well myself with that sort of energy because I just am a creature of habit. You know, if I find something that works, I don't care if it decides to not work anymore, I'm still going to be doing it. You're going to have to drag me away out of that, you know, that cycle or habit, because you best believe I'll be doing that to the day I die. I don't deal with change and people coming and like feeling like an environment or like something that's come up in my life like has fucked over my routine and rituals.
Yes. You're like, just want to hold on to it. It's like, I know this path and it's easy, so I'm going to keep on bloody doing it. But you're right. Oh, it's a struggle. I'm curious to see how you're feeling with social media lately, because I've been seeing you post a lot more, and I know we spoke maybe a couple of weeks ago and we were saying, you know, just the whole social media kind of game is getting really tough. How are you feeling with it now? Has that changed?
I've had a big realization.
Share, please.
It's something that I've been noticing, not even trying to notice, but it's something that I have been actually noticing for a few months now. And it's kind of like ever since I've gotten somewhat of a cycle back. Because obviously like I didn't have a cycle for like months, like I think it was like 10 months or something, but I finally kind of have it back now. So I've been through a few cycles over the last 6 months, let's just say. And the one thing that I have noticed is that I am resentful of like feeling the pressure to show up on social media unless I am in that week window of ovulation. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So I've noticed that I get more like creative work done in that week than I do the other 3 weeks of my life.
Yeah.
I'm like have all the ideas and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to make this or I'm going to do that up or I'm going to do this. And I'm like, oh, let's do this. And it's because I feel like I have that beautiful surge of creative energy because like obviously when you ovulate, your body's getting ready to create life. So instead of actually doing that on a physical level, I still have that energy to grasp onto and create, I guess, life elsewhere. And in that is my work. So I've actually decided that I'm going to honor just dropping off the face of the planet every few weeks and not posting anything, not showing up. The only place I really show up consistently is in my stories. But I'm releasing the pressure to be consistent on my static feed or like just on my socials in general. And once I get to that stage of like, you know, whenever my body decides to ovulate and I get that surge of energy, I'm just going to go with it. Yeah. And then once that finishes, I'm going to honor that and drop off the face of the planet and just live my life and run my business through my own rules. And it's so funny, actually, because this really does feed into that conversation we were having the other day about being led by your body and allowing your body to guide you and listening to her because she knows best. So that also really shook something within me as well. And I've decided just to honor that.
I love that. I think it's a really beautiful way of linking up your business to your feminine body and energy and flow. And I totally agree with you. There's literally no point of posting content when you are not feeling in alignment with what you're wanting to attract. Like, in terms of, if I'm posting and I'm in a negative mindset, I'm feeling really frustrated and angry and overwhelmed because I have to put this content out. For me, I see that as energy I'm putting out into the world and into my business specifically. And I don't want to put that out there. So you're so right. When that flow comes, it's important to just release any external pressure you're feeling. And I think that, it's something that I have to keep reminding myself of, because we see so many people that are really successful in the online business space who are saying, it's important to be consistent. It's important to show up all the time. Social media is how you get clients. So if you're not showing up there, where else are you going to be getting clients from? And you're right. I needed that reminder of, it's okay. Like, your business is set up, and as long as you're doing what's in alignment with your body, then you are relying on your own internal compass, not anybody else's. And this is something that we both talk about a lot, is there's no point of following someone else's roadmap. There's literally no point, because you're going to have to go through the process of realigning it to suit you anyway. It's just whether or not you're going to do it now or in a little bit of time. So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that. And I think too, if we're not in our body and we're not honoring her, and how do we tap in, and how are we divinely guided? Because that is divine guidance. It comes first and foremost through our body.
Yes.
So if we're abandoning her and not honoring her, or listening at least, or opening up to the guidance that she has for us, then anything we do is not going to be divinely guided, And I probably, in about 4 days, I'm going to be dropping off the face of the planet again, and I'm going to go into that bear mode and hibernate. But I know that there will come a time in 3 weeks from then where I'll be hopefully back in this space again, creating. And the momentum that I feel and have felt honoring this, because I've really subtly noticed it, and I'm like, okay, well, what if I do honor this and just allow this? The abundance that occurs when I'm in alignment, honoring what my body is telling me, is crazy compared to when I was fighting it. I'm like, wow, I get it, even this is crazy. But I've noticed as well, when I'm honoring my body, obviously the work that I'm putting out and sharing feels better for people as well, because it's coming from maybe a more, I don't know, maybe it's coming through and it's more aligned or more centered, or coming from just through with a higher vibration or something. But I've even noticed even the engagement and everything goes up compared to when I'm putting stuff out, oh fuck, I need to share this. I haven't shown up for this many days.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Yeah.
And then once I allow myself to just disappear whenever I feel like it, and come back when I'm feeling fluid and creative and full of momentum and share, the engagement's crazy. And I'm like, why do I just not do this? Why do I pray her? Why do I push away what my body is trying to tell me. But it doesn't help when there's 50 billion Instagram coaches saying you need to post this many reels a week and this much that and this much that. And I'm like, yeah, but no one's going to resonate, because anyone with half a brain is connected enough to know when something is not in alignment, especially in this community.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? Just to second that, I this morning had a vision. I don't know if you saw my comment on your Instagram this morning, but I had a vision of this Instagram content where it was, information based on your star sign about the full moon that we're in right now. I literally saw it all. And then a couple of hours later, after I got home from gym, I jumped on my Instagram and I literally saw you post that exact same thing. And I was like, that is beautiful. And what that means to me is that I was so guided to your content even before I knew it was out. And that's just a beautiful, I hope, confirmation for you that says like your work is so much more than just putting content out. It is divinely guided and it's divinely connected to those who need it. And I just thought that was so freaking cool.
That's really cool. I just saw it just then.
Yeah.
But that's really, really cool. And it is a testament and such a big confirmation, that people are going to be directed into your space to receive your energy only if you are coming, from a place of like surrender to whatever you need in that moment to share, and to yourself and to source. And your body plays such a big role in all of that. She is the vessel that we spend our human life in, and not just a vessel, but I love to think of the body as like a little aerial antenna receiver, because we aren't just a bag of flesh. We have senses and impulses, and it's like electronic currents running through us constantly, and we are a receiver. And if we're not, if we keep tuning into the wrong channel, then not only are we going to create a lot of static, but no one around us is going to be able to hear us either.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think if anything came out of Virgo season, it was integration of exactly that. It was the fact that, or a remembrance that our body is so much more. And without being fully conscious and fully aware of what's going on, I guess connected, it's so hard to hear your intuition and be connected to your channel. It's like, I always teach that, if your body does not feel safe, your channel is not going to open up. And you have to work with the body in order to be connected to everything that lives outside of it as well. It's something that's so, so incredibly important to everything we do, and especially leading your life through divine integration. So you're so right. And I love this deep connection to the body. And I think it's really tough because I've been so hard on my body lately and like wanting it to do specific things and it not happening. And it's like, without that care for your body and that love, it's like, how can you ever move through from a fully embodied place? Do you know what I mean? So I think that was something that I really needed to hear, because it's hard. It's hard to like trust your body when your mind wants her to do something else,
Yeah, it is hard. And it's so hard as well when we live in a society where people are telling us to do this all the time, all of the damn time, constantly. Don't listen to your body, push through, just keep pushing it and you'll reach new heights. I'm like, what heights? A height of disconnectedness and just like complete and utter like feeling of like being not in your body and disassociated, like we need to be in there. And I know this conversation came up the other week, you know, and it's just, I'm glad that we're having it now because it's a big realization, you know, not only for the wider community, but us as individuals as well, that we deserve to listen to her. And she deserves to listen, us to listen to her.
Yeah.
Because like all our body wants to do is to be that home. And if we're kind of pushing her aside, like that's not, like it kind of makes it really impossible in a way to feel that connection. And that, yeah, it's just, there's been such a big feeling of disconnectedness and disassociation lately. And I feel like a lot of us have been feeling like we've just been floating, like, you know, meters away from our actual body and not really feeling into what feels good. And it plays out. It plays out and just feeling like, I also feel like we need to release the guilt though from not honoring it and feeling into what it needs as well. Like that needs to be released as well, because like, how are we to know in this day and age? You know, everything that we're taught goes against doing that. And it's only when you find that key of really tuning into her and seeing what happens once you do that, that you have that big moment of realization, like, oh my God, this is how everything's created. Everything is created through her.
Yeah.
Through the body, through listening and honoring it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. And what's interesting, because I think it was Friday night, we had this conversation where we were saying, you know, we're noticing this pattern happening just on social media where people are pushing themselves and their bodies to the extreme. And it feels just really out of integrity with their body's desires. And this is just us projecting and reading energy. So we don't always know if that's true. But we were having this conversation that I remember jumping on Netflix, and literally the first thing that came up was like extreme, like human living, and like these people who push themselves to and their bodies to the absolute extreme, and they completely push their minds further than their bodies will allow them to go. And it was interesting because after that conversation, all I've seen now is people who lead from the mind and not from the body. And what's hard about that is we are so connected to our body, but when you've been taught to live in the mind and live with this really logical kind of perspective, when you get thrown into the body, all of a sudden it feels like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. It feels so hard to connect the dots. And I think the deeper I do connect to my body, the more my mind and my body act as one and not pushing against each other. And the flow is so much easier. And I think that's exactly what's happening right now, is this like realization that I've been following somebody else's path through my mind and just bringing my body along for the ride. And now as I integrate into the body, that's kind of releasing itself and I'm dropping into this just one channel. Does that make sense?
It does. And the first thing that comes to mind is like an activated mind or an activated brain is useless without an activated heart.
Yeah.
Like there is no point in being like in even activating, you know, your brain or your mind without that heart integration there too, because that's the guiding, that's the beacon, you know, that's the guiding light standing at the helm of the ship, trying to pave the way for you, because your mind will literally just follow, right? It needs to be led by your heart. And it's so true. And oh my goodness, the trend of pushing your body and pushing your mind to a state of stress for gratification, like for what? to betray it?
I don't know.
Like we just we're built for a reason. You know, we're built with these senses and this like integrated alert system within our body for a reason, you know. And as you said the other day, like you were in an experience where somebody said like, oh my goodness, like I just threw up doing this exercise, like this was like a self-development thing that you were, I won't name names, but yeah, and someone was saying, oh my goodness, like I'm so proud of myself, like my body was throwing up and
I felt lightheaded
I just
and like wanted to pass out.
But I pushed it through anyway. And she had shared that with the community, hoping obviously for people to be like, oh my goodness, good on you, so proud of you, well done. And you and I were both like,
girl, what?
This woman, like she should be listening to her body. Like,
yeah,
we have this reaction for a reason, which is, it's just mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing. And a big reason too why we need boundaries. And obviously this feeds into a lot too. This is confirmation again for me, because like literally whenever I open my inbox lately on Instagram, I feel sick. I feel sick and I feel anxious and everything goes through the roof and I just don't touch it. And then I watch all of the messages pile up and then I feel more sick and more anxious. And I'm like, I need to listen to her and just put up a boundary. That's what needs to be done. I need to listen to her. Because obviously that reaction is for a reason, and it means that I'm overloaded and overwhelmed, and I need to take a step back from that instead of just allowing it and pushing myself and allowing it, you know, to please other people. So big reminder there.
Yeah, huge reminder, right? Like, and what came up for me when I saw that was, you know, the body, it holds memories of trauma and it does have trauma responses. So when we push it to an extreme, we're telling it that, you know, its wisdom isn't important to us. And we create such a disconnection between our body's wisdom and its codes and our mind. And it doesn't always mean that that's the way. It doesn't always mean that you're going to have that response. It just means that you don't have to take this approach of pushing yourself to the extreme. You can take a gentler approach and really work through the energy in a different way, work through the shadow. You don't have to just be 0 to 100 and push yourself to like heal that block or release that energy. It's like, oh, it's crazy to me. And I always think, you know, when I am purging energy, I will feel really sick and really unwell, but I know when it's safe and when it's not safe. Do you know what I mean? And I think we need that connection back again, that connection around, yeah, my body's just purging energy. It's releasing things. She feels stable, she feels secure, but she's not really well at the moment, versus my mind and my body are feeling disconnected. I'm feeling like I'm losing consciousness. I'm wanting to faint. I'm lightheaded. I feel like I can't control the purging. That's just such a disconnection. And it's really important to understand you're exactly right. Your body has this alarm system built within it. And if you are somebody who has trauma responses, you need to work with that. You can't just bypass it. I think it's just a really scary place that a lot of people are sitting in. And it makes me really nervous because I'm like, we have all of this wisdom in our body and you don't have to bypass that. You don't have to push through it.
It's a dangerous place. I think it's a really dangerous place to be. And it's just complete, like, just not looking out for yourself, you know? And I feel like that's probably why there's so many people feel really lost and like out of alignment. And like this day and age, so many people turn to other people for their guidance and to make decisions for them. You know, the amount of people that are reaching out to me, and I say this with love, like asking me to make decisions for them that really, if they tuned in for 5 seconds and listened to what their body was telling them, they would feel so supported and guided. It's astounding. It is absolutely astounding. And I think a big realization as well that may be happening for both of us, and like this being such a theme the last little while as well, is the fact that we were both like working with Lilith for a bit as well. And she is all about like embodiment and being like in the body, feeling the body, like even to the point of like feeling pleasure and like feeling into what is happening. And just, yeah. So I think as well, like that's probably put a little bit of a awareness around that for us too, and probably why it's coming up for us. And all of a sudden we're seeing it play out so like much through the community. You know, we have this little alert system that's going off with, and all of a sudden we're aware of it, you know, because we've been educated, you know, through working with her, that it's so important to come from an embodied place.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. And she's the type of energy too that wants to take ownership and doesn't want to neglect the shadow that does exist in all of us. She doesn't bypass it. And I think she's really invited both of us into that as well. It's like acknowledging that, yeah, you are light. Yeah, you are freaking awesome. But also, hey, you've got some shadow, and like it all lives in your body and you can't bypass your body. She's taught us a lot. I feel like we should do an episode on her and just kind of talk about
I think
what she's brought through. Yeah.
I think so as well. And it's been a really, I'll save it for the episode, but I do want to say it's been a really interesting relationship because it's not one that I've had to push for.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like I've invited her in, and she hasn't been present 24/7, but it just, she's brought a lot of lessons and awareness up around certain things that I've kind of bypassed for so long. So
Yeah.
probably really interesting, but we should definitely do an episode on, you know, our learning through her and, you know, what she's taught us, because I feel like it's been really helpful.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I totally agree. I really enjoyed getting to know her. Well,
this has been a good chat.
I know both of us have absolutely bawled our eyes out. Thanks for being here, guys, and watching us go through all 100 emotions.
Absolutely divinely human in all of the sense.
Yep.
Honestly, though, I'm so grateful just to be able to have this safe space and open this space up for others as well. Because if, you know, people don't see us in our raw form, then how are people going to walk ahead with the courage to do so? We need to be seeing more of this, you know. So,
I agree.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will be back next week. Hopefully back as normal. We kind of fucked up today with the daylight savings because apparently it doesn't exist in Queensland, but you know.
Yeah, we're behind on that, guys.
As always, it's been a pleasure. Also, thank you for everyone listening who has held this space for us to be real, raw, and vulnerable too. It really means the world. And we'd love to know just how this hit for you guys, if this is something you'd like to see more of, not necessarily more of us bawling, but I mean, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Let us know, please. As always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and YouTube, of course. And we're so looking forward to catching up next week with you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.